We have been studying how genetic background influences the presentation and susceptibility to neurodegenerative diseases like ALS and Parkinson's. Previously, we also looked at MS as well, and that's still on our radar. We've been developing mouse models of these diseases, which we are in the process of characterizing. In the future, I want to see how different things like sex or not just genetic background, but other environmental exposures can influence the presentations of these diseases. And as well, we also do some cell culture experiments. And I want to kind of do more of that in the future because that seems to be the direction that funding is going. And so we do cell culture looking at the cells of the blood-brain barrier, looking at how genetic diversity influences how permeable that can be following some insult like an infection or an environmental assault of some kind. So we want to keep doing those kinds of cell culture, and expanding into like human iPSCs is something that I'm interested in doing in the future too.
We do a lot with mice right now. And so we do a lot of phenotyping with the mice to look at their motor skills, their cognitive function, their coordination, their balance, et cetera, all those things that are affected in neurodegenerative diseases. But we also do immune profiling. We do like ELISAs and bioplex, things like that. We do transcriptomics, a lot of gene expressions type of studies. And so I foresee those continuing in the future as well.
Well, there's a lot of skills I would like them to master, obviously different lab skills and things like that, but things that they can use throughout their life, throughout their career, professional or otherwise. I want to cultivate in them a growth mindset. Okay, so maybe you're going to grow into something, maybe you will outgrow something else, but either way, you're always growing. That way, if they do have a failure, it's not so much, oh no, it's this failure, it's a setback. It's like, no, failure is part of growth. And so cultivating a growth mindset, I think, is what I really try to do in our lab.
Feedback. That goes back to the growth mindset. I do give feedback, and I try to be more positive than critical. But
when I say positive, I think in the terms of kind. So sometimes you have to tell them things that you need to improve in this or that sort of way, because that's kind, that's helping them grow, as opposed to being nice and not saying anything that could be construed as critical. I don't think that's helpful for the students as well. And it seems like they take okay to that. I'm not like, yay, great job for every little thing, because that's not going to help them in the future. And they seem to jive with that okay. I'm not mean and critical either. I very seldom fuss at them. Like I said before, failure is not a dead end. Failure is part of the growth process. It's okay if you fail. Well, I've had a couple that have gone into industry, and they did internships. Summer internships, and they were later on in their career. They were probably third or fourth year, and it was hard on me personally because they weren't in the lab. I never said anything to make them feel guilty about it, but we did discuss ahead of time, here's what you're going to do to keep up. They were working on papers. In a couple of cases they had to do some like data analysis, but they were able to do that remotely. So they could do their internship and then come back and still have made some progress.
It was great for their careers. And in the end, that's great for me too, because I want people to succeed when they come out of the lab. So I'm glad we did that. So far, no one has wanted to stay in academia. I have a student that sometimes talks about maybe he will, but it's a lot of times they want to go make real money.